JCD Bros.
In 2023, Mobapad released the M12HD. Over time, it earned a reputation as the best third-party Joy-Cons. Now, less than a year after Switch 2 launch, the successor is here, and the expectations are high. This is Mobapad M12HD. In this video, I will answer all the questions that have come out since it was announced. Together with hardware, performance, design changes, and compromises. It's really important for you to know all this before even think of buying one. By the end, you will have a clear picture whether M12HD is suitable for you. Shield here from JCD Bros. 10 years as a product manager, I know when a product actually delivers. If you like honest reviews, gaming hardware, and stories, make sure to subscribe. This is a review unit I received from Mobapad. Like all my reviews, all opinions are my own, no money change hands, and they are seeing this video at the same time as you. If after watching you still want to pick one up, there's a link down in the description. Now, sit back and relax, we have a lot to cover. Let's dive in. Before we get into the specs, let's start with how this controller actually feels in hand. The shape is wider than the Switch 2 Joy-Cons. The contour shape gives you better ergonomics and fuller grip. The grip has a textured surface. It feels less slippery when holding it. The size of the face buttons is slightly bigger. It's a lot easier to press than the original buttons. The back buttons sit right where my middle finger rests. Pressing them feels natural. The surface has a soft touch matte finish. It feels premium, but you will pick up smudges and fingerprints. It is slightly heavier, but I don't feel much difference when holding it. The wheels also look very similar. The only difference I can tell is that it doesn't have the mouse sensor cutout. The gap around the console looks clean and consistent, very close to the original Joy-Cons. The magnets are strong. I can hold it in one hand without any detachment. My hands are on a medium to small size, and after using it for about a month, my thumb never bumped into the joystick when pressing the face buttons. The joystick height and spacing give enough clearance. Speaking of joystick, let's look at one of the main highlights, the TMR Glide Stick. It uses the same TMR Glide Stick as the Switch 2 Pro controller. Mobapad's founder shared the thinking of Glide Stick implementation on Reddit. These are still some of the quietest and smoothest joysticks I ever used. You really have to feel it in person. The Glide Stick uses an inverted buckle design that locks the cap directly to the stem, preventing it from loosening over time. The trade-off is that the thumbstick caps are no longer swappable. Mobapad has confirmed pulling the cap off by force can damage the stick. The M12HD is built on the same foundation as the M6HD. Most of the features you expect are here. The face buttons, D-pad, shoulder and trigger buttons use mechanical microswitches. You also get two back buttons, NFC, Gyro, Turbo Macro, full button mapping, and HD rumble. Sleep-wake function also available after firmware update. I have linked the firmware update tutorial down in the description. And a hot swappable D-pad. A few design elements didn't carry over from the M6HD. Swappable faceplates are gone, together with palm ring that was attached to the faceplates. Thumbstick caps are no longer swappable because of the inverted buckle design. So those are the features you already know. Now let's see what's new for the M12HD. It has 800 mAh battery for wireless gaming over Bluetooth. It's officially rated for 15 to 20 hours of playtime. But Mobapad added a new power toggle on the back of each Joy-Con, and that introduces new power management steps to the users. I will explain the full charging details in a moment. They also added an RGB logo. This was one of the biggest criticisms during the announcement. Luckily, you can turn it off using the app, and once off, the logo is nearly invisible. The color is only available in black. Now, let's take a look at the power management system. The power toggle on the back ties together how the Joy-Cons charge, how long your console battery lasts, whether NFC works, and what happens when you set the controller aside. It has two positions, let's call them USB mode and battery mode. For USB mode, the controller connects via USB and draws power directly from the Switch 2. It stays charged as long as the console is on, whether you are playing handheld or in TV mode. But in USB mode, NFC is disabled, so Army Ball won't work. In battery mode, the Joy-Con cut off charging from the console. It now runs on its own internal battery and connects via Bluetooth wirelessly. NFC will now be enabled. Using M12HD for the first time, make sure each Joy-Con's toggle is set to USB mode. You also need to enable wired Pro controller communication in the system settings. I tested to see if there's any impact on the console battery life. Same game, same brightness, and same settings. In USB mode, the Switch 2 battery can last roughly 2 hours of playtime before the battery fell below 15% and triggered the low battery alert. In battery mode, the console lasted about 2.5 hours before the same alert appeared. So battery mode gives you around extra 30 minutes of playtime on single charge, the same as the official Joy-Cons. And there's a deeper reason why Mobapad implements a power management system. Switch 2 is a closed system. To get HD Rumble and NFC working on a third-party Joy-Con, Mobapad could only utilize the Switch 1 USB protocol. But the USB standard has a strict rule. The host must keep delivering power to any connected client, whether the device is active or asleep. When Switch 2 keeps power flowing to the M12HD, even the console is asleep, that will cause phantom battery drain to the console. To solve this, Mobapad decided to build a custom solution. When the console enters sleep mode, the controller will cut off USB connection and stop accepting charges from the host. That decision came with trade-offs. Using this custom power logic means the M12HD only charges when the console is active. To get longer battery life and use NFC, you will need to change it to battery mode. But in that mode, without charging grip, M12HD won't be able to charge at all. The result is extra steps and less seamless experience than the official Joy-Cons. Because none of this was clearly communicated before launch, people were confused and frustrated. Mobapad apologized publicly and set up a compensation program. Pre-order buyers who bought a charging grip get a refund. Those who didn't will receive one for free. Going forward, every M12HD purchase will now bundle with a charging grip. I've linked the official statement down in the description below. Now, let's hear how those mechanical buttons sound. Along with the controllers, you also get a plastic case and a limited edition rubber keychain. Not gonna lie, the keychain is actually pretty cute. Now, let's look at the real-world performance. For the joystick latency, using both USB mode and battery mode felt identical to the official Joy-Cons. D-pad also felt just as responsive as the original. For basic motion aiming games like Zelda or Mario Kart World, the gyro felt comparable to the original. But there is a gyro behavior issue I will cover in a moment. And there are a number of quirks you should also know about. If you want to map the face buttons from the right Joy-Con to the left Joy-Con back button, you will need to use the app. Without the app, you can only assign buttons within the same side. Turbo and macro can be configured using the app. Some early coverage claimed it wasn't supported assigning inputs from each side. That's actually supported using the app. When connecting the Joy-Con using the app, it can only pair one Joy-Con at a time. Now, let's take a deeper look at how gyro behavior works in certain games. Gyroscope use 3 axes: roll, pitch, and yaw. In games like Zelda Tears of the Kingdoms, the gyro behaves the same whether you are in handheld mode or using detached Joy-Cons. Those titles aren't affected at all. The issue is that the M12HD is always seen as a detached Joy-Cons, even when it's physically attached to the console. Some games handle gyro differently depending on that mode. In handheld mode, certain games rely on roll axis for horizontal movement, when the M12HD is recognized as a detached Joy-Cons. The game switches to yaw, so the gyro feels wrong, even though you are holding the console in handheld mode. Games like Cyberpunk, Star Wars, and Super Mario Galaxy are known to be affected. This is not a bug, it's just how this game implement their gyro profiles. If you play a lot gyro-heavy titles, especially those change gyro behavior between handheld and detached, it's something you should be aware of. Mobapad confirmed the custom gyro settings will be added to the app in future update. The wireless controller pairing loop that happened in TV mode is fixed in latest firmware update. Because M12HD is physically bigger than the official Joy-Cons. If you want to carry your Switch around, you will need to buy a custom case to carry it safely. One thing to note, some early batch units have a problem with the release plunger. After about a week of use, the plunger will become too weak, making the controller difficult to detach from the console. Mobapad confirmed this affects a small number of pre-order units. If you are experiencing it, please reach out to Mobapad for a replacement. Now, let's see how it stacks up against the official Switch 2 Joy-Cons. The official Joy-Cons bring exclusive first-party features. If those are essential to you, the official Joy-Cons is your only choice. The M12HD focuses on hardware and software customization, and it is currently the only third-party Switch 2 Joy-Con that supports both HD Rumble and NFC. If we look at the price, the M12HD now bundled with a charging grip, priced at $100. Same as a pair of official Joy-Con. Whether that's worth it depends entirely on what you value. If you are a hybrid player, constantly switching between handheld and TV, the power toggle management is something you have to adopt. It forces extra steps that doesn't exist with the official Joy-Cons. If you play almost entirely handheld, the power management side of things is much less of a problem. The affected ones are more specific. To use NFC, you will need to toggle to battery mode, and gyro-focused games will not work correctly. For me, I play mostly handheld. The TMR Glide Sticks, mechanical buttons, dedicated D-pad, and Ergonomics are clear upgrade for handheld gaming. It's really comfortable. But every time I use Amiibo, I will have to remember to flip the toggle to enable NFC. The M12HD isn't perfect. It really comes down to what you value more, and whether the trade-offs are worth it for how you play. If the compromises and quirks bother you, the M12HD probably isn't for you, but for the right person, it's still worth considering. If we look at the timeline, the M6HD arrived roughly 7 years after the original Switch launch. The M12HD arrived in less than a year. That explains a lot. A stable native Switch 2 connection still takes time to stabilize. Proprietary hardware like HD Rumble 2 isn't available to third-party manufacturers yet. Mobapad has been open about this. Full feature parity might take another year or two. That's why the compromises and quirks exist in the first place. I came in wanting the M6HD moment all over again. I didn't get it, but I am still hopeful. A complete replacement like the M6HD for Switch 2 will come in the future. If you are still here, you like honest reviews, gaming hardware, and stories, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. You can also check out the video at the corner. It's the story behind building the best Switch 1 Joy-Cons. Cheers guys. Have a good one.